Well, that, I think, encompasses who TJ Oshie is as a person. You can tell whether you've known him for 10 years or you've just met him, how well-liked he is and how his legacy goes far beyond the ice. And we'll get to what his future holds because I'm sure it's going to be successful. But first, Tarik, I want to talk about, you've been around this team for a long time. You have covered Oshie for a long time. What stand out as some of your favorite, most memorable on-ice Oshie moments?
There were so many. I would say the two that really jump out to me were, number one, I was lucky enough to be on the ice doing interviews after they won the Stanley Cup in Vegas. And, I'm kind of doing my interviews, and I could kind of feel like a crowd kind of gathering and like things happening behind me, a lot of cameras snapping. And I turned around right when TJ was embracing his father, who, unfortunately passed from Alzheimer's. He wasn't all there all the time back then, but you could tell in that moment he knew exactly what TJ had done. The Stanley Cup was theirs. It's something they had dreamed about doing since TJ was a little boy. And just to see the raw emotion of those two when they hugged, really something I'll never forget when I think of TJ Oshie. And the other thing was when he scored the hat trick in the first game after his father passed. That was just, a storybook kind of ending to that whole little episode there. Where, he was away from the team, then he was back, and then he just capped it off that hat trick. And I might have teared up a little bit. I think like a lot of people, it was amazing.
Absolutely. Well, like we said, there were certainly tears here today for an incredible guy, over 1,000 games, a Stanley Cup champion. And you mentioned his family, his father, obviously, rightfully so, his wife, his kids in this first row here, as proud and happy as can be. And he talked a lot now maybe of what's to come for life after hockey for TJ Oshie. Didn't say the specifics as what is to come, but certainly said he would love to be around this organization, loves to play with his kids, maybe, give them the time that they didn't have when he was on the road so much. But I think if you know him, he's going to find a way to still stay around the game, whether it's in broadcasting, just made his ESPN debut. But I think there's still a lot of success to come in his life.
The world is his oyster, or whatever cliche you want to throw in there. I mean, good-looking guy in the prime of his life, well-spoken. If TV is what he wants to do, I watched him on that ESPN broadcast, and I was like, he's coming for my job, isn't he? But in all seriousness, you know what players who just stepped away from the game bring to television, and this is no knock on the guys who have been away from the game for a long time, but the guys who just stepped out of the arena, they still know the personnel. They're up to date on on systems and other things. When they talk about guys on the other team, they just played against those guys, and that's something that TJ could bring to the table if he so chooses. There are probably going to be some local opportunities for him in the broadcast sphere if he would like. He also founded War Road Apparel. That's something that I know is near and dear to him, and he wants to see that company really take off. I know it's made some big strides in recent years, but like you said, he also wants to be around for his kids. I mean, anybody who is on the road a lot, and I know you were in the playoffs, and I was for a long time as the Washington Post beat writer. You miss so much, and then when you come off the road, you just want to make up for that lost time. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if he does that first, and then kind of stretches his legs in the business area or gets into television.